Welcome back to our podcast, AI Searched, where we talk about all aspects of artificial intelligence and machine learning across multiple industries. We're so excited to have Erik Banek here with us today. He is an ex-competitor in mathematics who worked as a software engineer at Microblink and Google. Erik, how are you feeling today?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, welcome. Well, you have such a broad experience coming from mathematics to data analytics and working in machine learning. How did you get started in machine learning and how do you feel about that?
Well, since kind of mathematics is closest to programming, or at least somewhat close through statistics and data, I was always interested in doing something related to statistics. And when you're doing something related to statistics, machine learning projects find you.
How did you decide that, it was time to switch over to machine learning, and what were your first projects?
So in Microblink, since I did mathematics, they gave me kind of a research project for generating synthetic data for receipts, which later became a big project at Microblink.
Yeah.
And later on, in my second internship at Google in Mountain View, I was in the offline to online team where they were estimating real store visits with ads that people have seen online. So kind of when you're doing statistics, it's always somewhere there, these projects involving machine learning, because it is one of the more useful things in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, that's like an extremely interesting use case. Like, what did you guys find out with that research? Like, how did ads affect the potential buyer, potential person entering the store?
So I don't know exactly how it affected, but it was one of the metrics that they try to show in AdWords as like an impact that advertisers could see.
Yeah, and that runs a whole, huge industry of marketing and advertising.
Yes, and it's one of the few things where you can actually say, look, somebody did visit your store by seeing your ads.
Yeah.
So otherwise, when you have like a billboard, you don't really see like the number of views of that billboard, what's the impact, and so.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, that's incredible data that you can process.
It's very cool.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you had your internship in Mountain View, and I know you worked in Google in Europe as well. What was the difference working in the United States versus Europe?
So I cannot really, I don't want to talk about United States in general, but Mountain View, it's very suburbia. So I lived 2 months in Silicon Valley and 1 month in San Francisco. And San Francisco is much more interesting to live in.
Yeah, I grew up actually 5 minutes away from Mountain View, and yes, I spent a lot of time in Mountain View, so suburbia it is.
Yeah, it's just very hard to, let's say, hang out with other interns when you need to plan out the whole thing 2 days in advance, while in Zurich, it was always like, want to go somewhere? Yeah, let's do it.
Cool, yeah. And it's probably nice to be a little bit closer to home in Europe as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, incredible, yeah. And also you worked in Microblink and Google, so this is like one gigantic company, right? Google has huge amount of employees, but you're probably in a smaller team versus Microblink at that time when you were working was actually a startup, no?
Yes.
What did you prefer? Do you like working in that startup vibe, or do you enjoy more of a, large corporate?
So I think recently when I was at Google, I kind of missed these vibes of, being a single team, like a single group doing stuff.
Yeah.
When you're at Google, it kind of feels that you're, one part of a big machine. So, but when our latest manager, like my last manager when I was still at Google came, he really brought in like this team spirit.
Yeah.
So it was more enjoyable, but I would say that at Google, it's a bit harder to achieve than in a startup.
Yeah, of course. More people, bigger problems. Yeah. Well, what are you looking forward to in machine learning? Like, what are your next steps in your career now? And also just in general in the industry, like what excites you in machine learning now?
So I'll try to do some side projects and see what comes out of that.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of be on my own and try to see what comes. And I think some of the interesting things are that there are still, PhD students in, let's say, medicine where they don't have the necessary background to apply AI or computer vision more specifically to what they're doing. But I think now it became incredibly easy with, let's say, Hugging Face. You just download the model, fine tune it, and something comes out that could have an impact on their work.
Yeah.
So I think it really, democratized some parts of computer vision, but it's still not as spread out as it could be.
Yeah.
I also think that one thing that's very exciting to me is these applications of LLMs also, where people try to answer new research questions. So there was I think, Nature paper where they made some progress on algebraic geometry.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think is really cool. There was also a paper called Fun Search, where they generated new heuristics in some classic algorithms that were a bit more effective. So I think just this way of amplifying or pushing through the boundaries of knowledge is very cool. You still need people that could manipulate the LLMs and guide them and decide what's important and not.
Yeah.
But it kind of enables you to do a bit more and maybe find out.
And get answers to questions that you wouldn't be able to research before.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially people, as you said, who don't have access to computer vision and machine learning models or just didn't study that at all. So completely different industry. Like obviously the studying medicine takes, 6 to 8 years.
Yes.
And you don't have time to also get, a master's or doctorate in a technical field. So just kind of like bringing it to the public. Which industries are you the most excited to work in your freelance projects now?
So I'm currently thinking about medicine since I have some colleagues that are doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm also looking into e-commerce since my team at Google, where I was at for 3 years, was doing analytics for merchants. So bringing business insights through Merchant Center.
Yeah. How do you see like data? Well, we've seen in the last 10 years, let's say, like the data is really powering advertising. I mean, they're kind of banning cookies now also, so things might change. How do you see the progress of this, and what ways will you still be able to use those analytics to actually improve those models? And going to the next 10 years of advertising, where do you think we'll be?
I cannot say because I don't know too much, but I know that Google really has strict rules about using data, and they really know like how the data of one user can travel and that it's anonymous and what it can be used for. So I would say I don't think much will change. I do agree with, let's say, the recent DMA, which was a European legislation about not using data across different services just to kind of enable smaller competitors to compete.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's still, what my team was doing was bringing some data to merchants to enable them have more success.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very worthy cause because you want to enable more people to have success on the big platforms.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, small fish don't have a lot of space. So it's good to get their store out there. Yeah. Incredible. Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to see what you're going to do on the next few years, especially in medicine. That's really inspiring. And hopefully we can, as a general public, improve our medicine and, help save lives, give people more opportunity. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can catch this podcast on Google, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and just search for AI Searched. Thank you for joining us.